All right, hello everyone. Welcome back. Sorry, I thought we were going to finish yesterday, but there was a couple of things that needed to happen, and I didn't want to rush it. We didn't have enough time actually. So let's go ahead and continue this. So we've got to this point. We added stars yesterday, but today I'm going to show you how to add effects, layer effects. So if I click on this stars layer, you're going to see that the panel shifts again because it's reactive. Remember, we talked about that yesterday. And you look at the color effects, and we can add brightness, tint, advanced, or alpha to it, right? And there's a lot of things we can do to it, and we're gonna use these effects in a really creative way right now, just to kind of understand how they can be used. So if you go down to Photo 1, right, and we click on that 12 keyframe, right, I want you to click on that, and I want you to add a keyframe to it, right? So there should be a keyframe on that one. So I'm going to go ahead and push F5 there, right? Actually, oh, it's locked. I forgot. You got to unlock them, right? Let's unlock these and unlock the background. And I'm going to go ahead and insert a keyframe there. Right, actually, let me go ahead and undo this real quick. Because I had to undo them. Insert keyframe there. And I'm going to insert a keyframe here. Right? So I have 3 keyframes all the way down. Now I can select all 3 because we're going to add an effect to all 3, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to, at this point, right, we're going to add a couple of things, right? So as soon as photo 2 shows up, right? And actually, we should just select the background and photo 1, just those 2. As soon as photo 2 shows up, I want to blur the background and I want to blur photo number 1 so that Nathan's hot dogs or photo number 2 really stands out. So to do that, I'm going to go to the color effects. Now that I have these selected, right? These 2 keyframes selected, I'm going to go to color effects and I'm going to hit. I'm going to jump over to filters, and I'm going to hit blur, right? And in blur, I'm going to go ahead and go to 8 pixels on both of these. 8 and 8. Now look at the background. It's blurred out. So now if I scroll this back, it blurs, and now Nathan's really pops out. Okay, so that's how you can add some effects to it. We're actually adding some filters to that, right, and some effects. So again, let's go ahead and continue this. It's a really cool way to kind of get these things across. So we're actually going to look at these. And now I wanted you guys to also understand that when you make an effect or you add an effect, to your layers, the little dot that shows you the keyframe, it actually turns white. So it lets you know that, hey, there's an effect on here. So as you're looking at your timeline, you can say like, okay, the black ones are keyframes. The circles that are are empty, don't have anything in them. And also they're colored a darker gray that don't have anything in them. And the white ones are for effects. All right. So now you can kind of start looking at, if you look at the timeline, you can kind of hunt down certain keyframes that you're looking for. All right. So let's go to 24. Right, which is on photo number 3, where that one comes in, right? And we want to actually add a keyframe right underneath it, right? For photo number 2, because guess what we want to do to that? We want to add a keyframe. And so instead of F5, remember, we're going to put F6. So it's going to add a keyframe to that because it's a change. And then once we have that highlighted, what we're going to go back over here, we're going to go down all the way to the bottom of the panel, and we're going to add filters. Right, we're going to add a blur. Again, we're going to add 8 because we just did this, and 8, right? And we'll hit return, and now Nathan's hot dogs down here is blurred. So now every time a new photo comes up, we blur the background. So it's actually interactive. So there's lots of things being animated at one time, right? Obviously, so now I kind of just as a side note. So now if you look at any of the anime, and I think one of the Naruto runs, right, where they're running, the blurring of the background is a lot. I see that a lot in the animation effects, right? So now you learn how to do that just with the frames, certain frames. So again, let's continue this as we go on, because guess what? We also have, we're going over here to the stars. We created the stars. We want this Ferris wheel out. So we're going to go over here to, we're going to go to 36 is the frame, 36. We're going to add actually we're going to add a keyframe. Let's add a keyframe to photo 1, 2, and 3. 1, I'm going to select and click 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to right click, insert keyframe. Boom. So now we have 3 because there's a change. All right. And what I'm going to want to do here is something different. So actually what I want to do, instead of just blurring it, when we get to that last Ferris wheel, I want to make everything kind of dark. Put it in like a semi-dark mode, kind of take it to the back. So what we want to do here is now we want to go to the color effects over here and go to brightness. And I want to go down to -30%, which I already have it. Yours may be a little brighter. So with the slider wheel, we can go to -30, okay, and just slide it over to -30. Or you can just click on 30 and then type in -30 if you want. So now everything will kind of turn. Not only will it'll just get darker, right? And you don't have to do the background because that's automatic. So let's see what it looks like now. I'll bring my playhead back. Excellent. So now it dims out. Again, if you want to go darker on that background as it goes so that the stars pop out, you can. All right. So let's go ahead and hit, I'm going to hit Command S. You can go over here and you can do that, or Control S to save. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to, I already hit it. So save is grayed out. If save is grayed out, that means you're already saved. So if something crashes, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is a perfect time for me to stop and tell you that you should save often, right? Because software can crash, your machine can crash. You can, if you're on a laptop, you can run out of battery and it can shut down. And what you don't want to do is you do not want to lose your work, right? That's so frustrating, and it will happen. So there's a lot of things we can do to prevent this. So first of all, let's talk about mistakes in general, right? So if we make a mistake, right, we can always do Command Z or Control Z, depending on what machine you're in, right? Or we can that's undo, or we can go to File, and Edit, and then we can undo change selection, right? That's a way to undo it. So if I undo that, then it takes me back one step, hit Edit again, undo instant brightness, right? Instance brightness, undo instance brightness again, and now everything's back to bright. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and I can also hit Edit, Redo, Brightness, Edit, Redo, Instance Brightness again, and then Redo Change Selection. So you can go backwards and forwards. You can undo to a certain degree. Now, this is something extra special for the Adobe products. Those of you who had graphic design before, or you've had another Adobe class, you understand that there's a magic thing here. It's called the history panel. Just like we have all these panels, all the panels are in the window, just like a window pane, right? And go down to the history panel, right? It's all the way towards the bottom, like it's the the fifth parameter up. Hit, and then here is the history of what we've been doing in the animation program. Really cool. And the way that you go back in time, this is like a time machine, really. The history panel is a time machine. When you click on it, you can just go back in time. And if you get this little slider and you go back, you can visually see us go back in time and how all our effects, all the things that we did go back. So if you mess something up, right, and it's gotten out of hand and you've tried so many different things and you run out of undos, chances are you can go back in the history panel. I'm going to go ahead and reset this all the way back because I like what we did. But this history panel, and this is, again, this is also on the test tomorrow. How do you undo things? There's multiple ways. There's the history panel, right? But there's also the undo, right? But that's if you're messing around and it happens. One of the big things is saving. We just talked about that, saving. We don't want to lose our program. So I want to show you something, right? Animate by default, because so many years, all of these professionals, it happens to everybody, by the way, guys. We just are so into our work, we forget to save. So what better way to do it than have an autosave? If you come up here to Animate Preferences, Edit Preferences, and I believe it's in File Preferences or Edit Preferences in Chrome or Windows, those of you at home, and you hit General on the top, there's an auto recovery, which means that it's going to save your file every 10 minutes. Yours says 10. I changed mine to 8. If I were you, I'd change mine to 8. Every 8 minutes, I want you to save. I don't want it to save every minute because as your files get bigger, it's going to start delaying the delay. So you may be in the middle of something and then all of a sudden it pauses for just 2 seconds so it can save. But you can't do anything. And it gets a little annoying. But 8 minutes I found to be a pretty good balance of being able to cut it. Like I can handle recreating what I just did 8 minutes ago. You know, I cannot handle, you know, having to recreate something I did 45 minutes ago. That would be really frustrating. So I'll hit OK. And that's a really big plus with Animate, that you can keep working and it'll auto save for you. But remember, it won't save at the very end unless it's in that time frame. So you always have to save it. And if you do something really great and you for sure don't want to lose it, hit Command S, come up here, hit File, Save. It's easy, it's free, and you can do it as many times as you want. And you'll always have your project up to date. Okay. So that's how we work our basic undos and our saves, right? And then so finally we went through everything. You've walked through this whole process. You understand Animate. Now we want to preview what we've created, right? We've created an amazing little animation, and I want to preview it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the play button over here, right? Or we can go to Control up here, and we can test movie in Animate, and we just have to click it. And what happens is it generates a preview, and there it is. That's our cool little animation, and it's doing it like a GIF, right? It's looping it. It's going back and forth, right? That's pretty cool. It loops it, and and you've created this animation. Now, if you wanted to loop it here on the timeline, there's this little button right here. It has like this little arrow that basically has like a return. It's right next to the reverse button or step back one button. And then if you hover over it, it'll say loop. You can always hover over these little tools and it'll give you the instruction of what they are. So you hit the loop button, it's going to come up with this blue bar here, and you just have to increase that blue bar, or basically put that blue bar in the range you want it to loop. And now you can just hit play and it'll naturally just loop without previewing the movie. Kind of like a GIF, right? Pretty cool. I'm gonna take off the loop right now because we don't really need to use it. And again, hitting the little play button, the little tiny test movie button on the upper right hand corner, we can click that. It'll generate the shockwave file, and you can see it working. Excellent job, guys. Excellent job. All right, so we're really close to the end. All right, we're really close. And one of the things that I want to do is I want to resize this. I want you to talk about resizing for a minute, because maybe you made it too big or maybe you made it too small, and you want to change the size of your whole project. What we want to do here is we can change the size of the project. So we have it right here. If you click on, you go back over here and you hit your selection tool and you click on the stage. Our original dimensions were 800 by 600. And what we want to do is we want to change this up a little bit. Okay. So we want to go over here and we actually want to click the advanced document settings. So basically in the properties panel over here, right? Properties panel under where it says DOC doc, right? dock settings, we're going to click this little button up here, and then we're going to click more settings down here, right? And it'll pull out this little document settings panel. Now I want you to take a look at this, because we just discussed just either yesterday or a little while ago how everything is anchored to the upper left-hand corner. And that's because we've set that here. If you wanted it anchored to the upper right-hand corner, you would click this, right? But your ruler doesn't move, okay? Or at least it wouldn't move yet. But that will basically start adjusting some things in a weird way. So I'm going to basically unclick this. Oops. Let's see if I can unclick it. Oh, double click to uncheck it. Sorry. Wow. That's a little new. That wasn't new in the last version, so at least I've learned something new. All right, so we got the anchor point there, so that's where everything is anchored to. So once we get that down, I want to change the size. I'm going to shrink this 400 and by 300. So I'll click over here where it says 600, 300. So I'll click it here, but don't hit OK yet, because we need to scale the content. Right? Because that's just the stage size. If we change that, all the pictures will stay the same size. All the content will stay the same size. The stars will, but the stage will shrink. So if we click this box here, scale content and lock hidden layers, then everything will move together, and then we can hit OK. Boom. Now we have a tiny version, right? And we have a little version. So what we want to do here, and again, it constrains everything. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and hit File, Save As. All right, you have a working copy. I want you to do underscore resized. Resized. All right. You can put tiny if you want. You want to be fun. I'll go ahead and put that down. All right. So now we have a small little resized file. Cool, right? So now that little file, if you want to use that for maybe a phone or maybe a smaller device, you can use it. Let's exit out of this. So up in the upper left corner, don't exit Animate, just exit the file. Remember, it's that little tiny X at the very tip, and I'm trying to see if I can zoom in, and I'm showing you where it's at with my mouse. I'll click that, and we're out again. So let's go back to our working copy, all right? The one we just saved. Boom, there it is. Nice and perfect. All right. So our working copy is good to go, right? So we have our regular size, and now we need to save early and often, and we've got a great piece of animation. All right. So we've learned a lot with this first lesson, right? It took us multiple days to get through it, but hopefully you understand now how to navigate things, and we can move a little bit faster. The main parts that you've learned yesterday and today are the actual keyframes and how it affects the stage. And you've made this incredible little animation, this little GIF. And now that you walk through it, hopefully you'll be able to make little GIFs just with those 3 frames. So imagine if I had you scan all of these, how easy it would be. So how cool would it be that you would be able to manipulate different things, right? And what's cool about it is that you didn't have to. I mean, we haven't really messed with motion yet. Things have been appearing right in their own area. We didn't have a star show up and turn, or things move out of the way. We didn't do that yet, right? That's going to be in our next lesson, and we're going to talk about creating things on there, importing some different types of files from Adobe, and we're going to talk about actually animating, moving things around. But until next time, guys, you guys did great. Tomorrow you'll have 6 questions and you'll answer those, and that'll be your tests. Great. If you want to review any of this material, feel a little bit light, play around here, you can do that, and then hit undo when you're done. Guys, you have a great day. This is Mr. Juarez saying over and out. Bye.